Good morning, Digit fam! Adam Dowd here with even more huge news pouring out of Computex and beyond. It's a short week and this is a short podcast, so I'ma just get right to it, shall we? It is May 28th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. This morning, I have a couple of eye-opening devices for you, and the first comes from Asus. You know how a few years ago, MacBook Pros started coming out with the touch bar? Basically, this was a little strip that ran across the top of the keyboard where the function keys would normally go. You could program this touch bar with various functions like copy and paste, or in certain apps that were designed to take advantage, you could set up quick shortcuts to common functions. It has mostly been panned by reviewers as being sort of a gimmick. Well, Asus said, hold my beer, and put a whole second screen at the top of the keyboard, a whole 4K screen, no less. Now here's how this works. Look at your laptop. Now take the keyboard and move it down to the bottom edge. Move the trackpad over to the right. Now all that space above the keyboard is a 4K screen. Weird, right? But also kinda cool, right? What's more, remember how I said the trackpad was off to the right? Well, there's also a button over there that turns your trackpad into a number pad if you need one, which is one of the smartest things I've seen in a laptop lately. Andrew Grush and David Amell from Android Authority are on the ground in Taiwan to bring us their hands-on impressions, and their initial impression is a little mixed. It's a neat concept for sure, but Andrew wonders about the unique positioning of, well, everything. The keyboard is too low, the second screen seems nice, but is objectively worse than just plugging in a second display off to the side. And as for me, I suspect that this laptop, and I'm saying that with air quotes, by the way, isn't going to be very useful on, a lap. The bottom edge of this keyboard serves as a place to rest your hands, which also holds the laptop on your lap and keeps it from tipping. If you're on a table, you're fine, but I get the sense that this thing will basically be impossible to use in most mobile settings, which sort of defeats the purpose of having a laptop in the first place. Also, David Amell points out that the second display also makes the laptop quite hot, which is not necessarily something you want on your lap. Overall, it's an interesting concept. We don't have pricing or availability yet because reasons. We suspect it'll come out in Q3 and it'll be quite expensive. But what's not expensive is the Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro. You remember Xiaomi, right? They're the ones not being arrested by the Canadians. Well, this Redmi K20 Pro is a spec beast. All of the trimmings, Snapdragon 855 processor, 6.39-inch AMOLED display, triple camera including the Sony IMX586 sensor that everyone knows and loves, a headphone jack, 4,000 mAh battery, and the price? $362 in the US where, you can't buy it, but still, $362 for a phone that on paper stands toe-to-toe with the best that's out there. On paper. This is insane pricing, especially when you consider its closest competitors, the Asus Zenfone 6 at $499, the OnePlus 7 Pro at $669, and even the Pixel 3a at $399 is way under-spec'd by comparison and still $40 more expensive. So, should you all run out and buy a Xiaomi Redmi K20 Pro? Well, not if you live in the US, that's for sure. This phone will never see United States shores. But if it's available in your area, it's definitely worth a look. It's a super fast phone. And speaking of super fast, let's head into the roundup! HP is bringing real wood to its line of laptops because apparently it wants to emulate the look of the Atari 2600. There's no accounting for taste, but it will be a unique look for sure. The wrist rest on its NV line of laptops will come from sustainably sourced walnut and birch, and heck, if you drop your laptop and ding it, you can take a belt sander to it, which is always a win. If you've ever wanted to know how a smartphone was made, take a peek behind the curtain with Dhruv Bhutani from Android Authority, who took a tour of a Shenzhen manufacturing plant for Realme. From circuit board printing to drop testing, Dhruv got to see how the sausage was made, and it turns out it's not as gross as we all thought it was. The dark forest theory of the internet states that it's better to keep your head down and not stand out on the internet because just like in a dark forest, when you stand out, you attract the predators. Well, that's a little bleak, but it's not entirely untrue. You put yourself out there and the trolls may find you, and they can be relentless. And it's even more true if you happen to not have a white penis. So, what should we do? Go offline? Well, that's what I did with Facebook. I even get monthly messages these days from random friends who say, "Hey man, haven't seen you post in a while. You okay?" I am okay. It's just dark out there. And I'm scared of the dark. If there's one thing that I can say about Huawei during all these trade war shenanigans, it's that it's kept a cool head in light of everything that's going on. Well, until it accused FedEx of rerouting its packages to the US government, that is, which it did over the weekend. Apparently, 2 packages that Huawei sent ended up at the wrong address, and Huawei kind of freaked out a little bit. But Huawei, I can assure you, this isn't a government conspiracy, it's just FedEx SOP, when it absolutely, positively has to get lost overnight. Which clothes hangers do you buy when you're presented with 200,000 options? There is no easy answer to that question except, screw it, the first one. And that's the problem we run into when we try to buy almost anything on Amazon, a paradox of choice. There are hundreds, thousands, or hundreds of thousands of choices. It's not a problem with an easy solution, but I can give you this one pro tip. Just buy the first one that has a review score of 4 or above if it's within 10% of the lowest price on the page. Or go to Target. Either way. And finally, a couple weeks ago, I took an ill-advised drive down a muddy path that my Pontiac was not prepared for. I ended up getting stuck in some of the soupiest mud I'd ever run into. The tow trucks trying to get back to me got stuck too. It took half a day and a come-along that I bought at Home Depot, but sure enough, I eventually got my baby free. So I can relate to the Tesla engineer who got his Jeep Cherokee stuck on a snowy path in Tahoe. Except, right after he got his truck stuck, a blizzard came in and buried his car under 10 feet of snow. Jalopnik regales the tale of the wayward Jeep's recovery, and it's an interesting read. Just what do you do with a crushed Cherokee once the snow melts? While we ponder that, we're going to wrap up this edition of the Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.